Welcome to the Gorgeous Gray podcast. I am Nicole Scott, your host, registered holistic nutritionist, rest mindset coach, author of the Gorgeous Gray movement, and the co-creator of the Menopause Reset program. In this podcast, we have real conversations about aging as a woman and all the pressure and uncertainty we feel as we head into menopause and beyond. Let's face it, aging is not an easy conversation to have. But I say it's time to talk about the messy middle and offer hope when we feel like giving up on ourselves. Let's talk about our fears around gray hair, our muffin tops, and even our dry, itchy vaginas and everything in between. I will help you reconnect to your feminine energy and offer real solutions from experts in their field to navigate aging as a woman. I believe we, as women, deserve to shine even brighter in this next chapter of life. So with a sense of humor and a lot of compassion, let's dive into these vulnerable conversations. Hello, gorgeous gray women. It's Nicole here, going to go solo today, and it's going to be an episode around shifting and giving yourself permission to shift when you get the nudge. So I'm going to go back a little bit. I started the Gorgeous Gray movement after lumps in my breast. It was a cancer scare. And that journey was almost 5 years ago. I can't even believe it, like 47 years old, where I got downloaded from my universal energy, my spirits, my guides, God, whatever you want to call that, higher power, to get up and start journaling about what I was going through, about the fear of going gray, about, what I was going to do differently, how I was going to stop dyeing my hair. And as a nutritionist, started to investigate, what is in our hair products and, why are we poisoning ourselves with these toxins? And then it just got me down the rabbit hole. And it's been a beautiful journey. It's, I've shared it with the world. I have a YouTube channel. I think we're close to over 100 interviews with women that have transitioned to, embracing the movement of gray, silver, white, whatever your natural hair color is. And it's been such a beautiful journey. And the comments that I get almost daily is, thank you for doing the work. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for leaning in. Thank you for doing this brave acts. And I started my first book, which I called, and maybe some of you don't even know, my first book title was actually called Get Naked with Your Natural Hair Color. And I actually posed naked on the cover of my book because that's where I was in my life. I got to a place where I was comfortable in my own skin. My book was like giving birth to this new woman. And I had a lot of positive feedback about posing naked. It was very classy. I was hiding my breasts and you can't see anything. I thought it was very strong. It was very powerful. And I did it and it felt right at the time because I really wanted to show women, and especially in the book, like the transformation that happened for me, which is almost like I had to take off all the armor to get to where I was in my life, right? Saying goodbye to a 20-year marriage, saying goodbye to maybe friends that weren't serving me anymore in my life, saying goodbye to the Nicole Maureen Scott that had dark hair and has always had dark hair. And it's amazing all of these illusions that show up in our life that we hold on to, and we hold on to because we don't either know what our next move is going to be, and it paralyzes us. And I noticed that that was a pattern in my life where you get the nudge, but then you don't know how to move forward because you're scared. And so I really want to dive into what transpired last weekend. And I want to give a shout out to Samantha Gladish and Lauren, who were the two facilitators for our feminine mushroom retreat. And it's interesting, I had made a comment on Samantha and asked a question about it about probably a month ago. And then leading into the date that it was going to happen, she privately messaged me and said, are you still interested in this retreat? And it's funny because I almost forgot about it because life in the last 4 weeks have been quite busy of coming back from Mexico and settling in and, just catching up from being out of country for almost 4 months and then having a business trip. And so I had to sit with it for 24 hours or maybe not even that long. And I was like asking, myself, my guides, and my meditation, is this the right thing that I need in my life? And I was like, what are you so scared about? And it's the unknown, right? Like, I think I've done medicinal mushrooms, magic mushrooms, probably in my 20s, once, maybe twice, if I can remember. And it wasn't a negative experience, but it definitely was an experience where like, when is this going to end, right? Like, and so I come from what 30 some years of thinking, oh gosh, like mushrooms, why would I take it? What will it do? Anyways, I got a strong yes. It's like, go for it. The one thing that I'm learning being in my midlife and my menopausal years is freaking Nicole, just say yes to life. Just lean into it, even if it scares the fuck out of you. And so this was scary for me. Now I did call up my best friend and pretty much said, "You're coming with me," and that's that. And she agreed and she showed up. So what transpired for 4 days of being with 8 women plus 2 facilitators in the most beautiful, spectacular cottage scene and having, we called it the womb room, or some of them called it the pussy room. We were laughing at that because it's where we give birth to our feminine energy, right? That's where transformation was happening and has happened for so many women over the years at this beautiful cottage slash retreat. And so grateful that Cindy and her husband opened it up to be able to spend that time together. So 8 women came together, most of us strangers, got to know each other very well. We laughed, we cried, we celebrated. And I'll just go through a little bit of what happened for me because I'm getting a lot of questions from people about, what was your experience like? So, the first afternoon into evening was just connection with community, which was so beautiful. And then the second, I guess it'd be the first morning, second day, we started it off with yoga and a beautiful, wonderful, nourishing breakfast. And then by 1 o'clock, we were together in a ceremonial circle, getting ready to do our psychedelic mushrooms. And we used a ceremony cacao. So it's like you were drinking a hot chocolate with 2 grams of medicinal mushrooms. And we drank it together. And then it was requested that we stay on our yoga mat or whatever kind of, piece of comfort that you brought to kind of be. And we were supposed to wear our eye masks. But if we felt called to go out to nature at times, or you wanted to talk to the trees or Mother Nature, we could do that. And then there was the plant medicine music that went along with it, which was just such a ride. So my journey, I would say, in that kind of 7 hours of having the plant medicine really do its magic. And every woman's experience in the retreat was very different, and I won't comment on any of theirs, but I'll comment on mine, which for me, it was a beautiful experience. It was a beautiful ride. I went to, and I needed help and assistance 2 times to go to the washroom because the washroom was not in the actual building where we were doing our ceremony. I actually needed help. Thank you, Samantha, for helping me to the bathroom twice because I just felt really out of it. But it was a beautiful journey. There were things that I saw for the first time. I saw auras. I saw people's auras. I saw the trees' auras, the grass auras, the sky auras. I saw the web of how everything is connected, and it made me cry. It also made me laugh. because I kind of know all of that through my years of working in the world of spirituality and energy and being a Reiki master. But to see it for the first time is a very emotional experience. And I released a lot of tears from it. But it also gave me a lot of hope and understanding about just the other side, the spiritual side, that we are so connected and we are so multidimensional. We really, really are. And I got to see my grandparents, every single one of them, who have, passed and are on the other side, but they came to me and I was able to have conversations with each one of them. And I saw them in the stage of me as a child. So the memories of me as a child with them. And I was able to communicate with them and have a beautiful conversation with them around them offering me the gifts that they did as a child. And the word that came to me was nourishment, that each of my grandparents nourished me in different ways. My grandma Scott nourished me in her playful way, even though she was dying of cancer and she was in a wheelchair. She was still pushing through the pain to make me laugh as a 3-year-old. And I still remember being in the wheelchair with her before she passed. I got to see her again. And my grandpa Scott, from being a rancher, and the gift of introducing me to horses and the land and learning to live off of the land and the gardens and the beautiful, organic, even though it wasn't called organic back then, beef that we got to eat off of the land and how good it tasted. It went on and on to this just very emotional. I remember crying a lot to have to say goodbye to my parents and my childlike energy. But there was a lot of just freedom and dancing, and I felt like I was like not on this planet. I also had images of looking at my hand and how my hand kind of sank into the earth and how beautiful my wrinkled hands looked and my aging hands looked and how they sparkled and how they shined and how grateful for everything that I was about my body and how self-accepting I was of my body and my aging body. I remember going to the bathroom and I decided early on after we drank the cacao with the mushrooms in it that I wanted my bra off like instantly. I was like, I just need to be comfortable. And so I took my bra off and it felt so good. And I think there was a lot of us that didn't have bras on and it was just so freeing to not have it. I remember looking in the mirror and noticed how, saggy my boobs were, but I laughed. I was like, I looked at them and I grabbed them and it was more of like, I love you, more of self-acceptance. Like, I love your beauty. Like, I just got to see beauty in everything and everybody. Now that's emotional, right? Very emotional. Yeah. So what happened is we came out of it. It started, plant medicine obviously wasn't so strong after it starts to wear off on your body, but they say that plant medicine can still last in your body up to 72 hours, which it definitely felt like for me. Almost a little bit like just spacey would be the word. We had a very nourishing light dinner. I wasn't too hungry before bed. But what was so interesting and profound for me is, my intention that I had was, what is my next? How do I need to serve in a bigger way on this planet? Because I know that I'm a light worker. I know that I have the level of confidence to pretty much do anything. And so I'm like, what's that gift? So you just put it out there. What I've learned over the years is like, you don't have to have the answers, and maybe the answers won't come right away, but you have to learn to be patient and that the answers will show up in different ways and then you will just know the answer. So as I was falling asleep Friday night, I went onto my social it's usually just, did the kids call? Is everything good? And I went onto my Instagram and I saw a post that my assistant did, because sometimes my assistant helps me when I'm out or going to be away for 3 or 4 days. She helps me put beautiful content out there to the world to add value. And she had posted a picture of my gray hair transition. And I remember in my body feeling like I wanted to throw up. And I was like, wow. And I got mad and I got angry. And it was like instant. It was like, there it is. I'm closing the chapter. This is enough of talking about my gray hair. I'm so much more than my gray hair. And I don't want for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years just to be known, oh, there's this nutritionist that, went gray all these years, and helped women go gray. It's like that chapter has closed for me, and it was instant. Like it just came instant. I was like, okay, there's the sign from the universe. I need to change. I need to shift. And I was like, okay, I'm okay. Was it scary to think that I was letting go 4.5 years, like a relationship, right? You brand yourself, you get your message out, you wrote a book about it. There's this whole thing of Gorgeous Gray movement. I was like, okay, so now I got to get rid of my handle. I got to just, and I wanted to just brand my self as Nicole Scott. But man, there's a lot of Nicole Scotts out there. And I tried every which way possible to put Nicole Scott out there, even with an initial of my middle name gone. There was the underscores and the dots. And I was like, okay, so, the universe doesn't want me to do Nicole Scott in any way, other than I could have played with, like, I could put Nicole Scott nutritionist or Nicole Scott coach, And so I was in this again, kind of like almost paralyzing. I don't know what to do. I know I need to change my handle, but I don't know what to do. And I don't want to make a mistake. How many of you women can relate? Oh my gosh, if I change it, is this a mistake? And I just, asked, I said, give me a sign. Give me a sign. And so on Sunday, when we were done the retreat and I was driving home, my mom called, and I got talking to my mom about just kind of my dilemma and, the name and what should I do. And then we started talking about my middle name, which is Maureen, Nicole Maureen Scott. And I was like, wonder if Nicole Maureen Scott is taken on Instagram. And then I almost had this overwhelming feeling of almost a vulnerability of going, oh my gosh, nobody knows my middle name. I never use my middle name. It's almost like, geez, do I want the world to know my middle name? And what was interesting is that morning, the Sunday morning, we did a breath work exercise. And my mom came to me, and it was very emotional because she was passing the baton to me. And I remember, like, I don't want the baton. I'm not ready for you to leave. Like this, you need to still be here. I need you. So I never took the baton. I gave it back to her. And as I was talking to her and telling her the story, I got really choked up. Like, Mom, I'm just not ready for you to leave. Like, you're only 72 years old and you got so much life in you. And even though she's struggling a little bit with her heart, we cried together on the phone. And she said, well, Maureen is my middle name. And I was really hoping that you would have passed that name along. And, you didn't, and that's fine. And then it hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get so emotional and choked up about my mom because my mom is my best friend. And there it was, the middle name Maureen. So the first thing I was like going to do is check to see if Instagram had Nicole Maureen Scott. There was a Nicole M. Scott, but not a Nicole Maureen Scott. I'm like, there it is. I'm going to let the world know in a more vulnerable way who I am, especially if down the road I pivot again. I don't know what that will look like. Maybe there's another book, there's another topic. I don't know what that will look like. So then I did it, and I remember, and it's funny, you guys are going to laugh here, but I went to like spell it out, and I'm like, crap, I haven't written my middle name out for so long that I had to double check on my driver's license just to make sure that it wasn't spelt weird or different. And I looked at it and I was like, no, I spelt it right. I'm like, whew, it's amazing how you can second guess yourself. I'm like, okay, great. So yes, so this episode is about pivoting and giving yourself permission to pivot. And when I was talking with Samantha, she said from her learnings and coaching, the most successful people that keep on building and keep on winning are the ones that can make really quick decisions and pivot and listen to their gut versus being in that fear of I'm paralyzed, so I'm not going to do anything. So there was a reason why I needed to go to this retreat. It was a time for a pivot, a shift, and it's feeling really, really, really good that the shift is happening. So what I want to say is that I will be moving forward with a different name on the podcast. So there might be a couple week delay or pause, as behind the scene is I'm actually bringing my business partner and my best friend onto my podcast, and we're going to do it together. And that's Melissa Hyde. And we want to, and the content is probably going to be very similar to what I have been putting out. Not a lot is going to change other than I'm bringing Melissa in and we're going to change the name of the podcast. And we're going to continue to deliver experts. We're going to continue to deliver average women out there that are going through midlife and how they are finding ways to win in their menopausal and changing bodies, and to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly, but offering solutions so that you can hear these stories. So we're really excited. So for those of you who have been with me, I don't know, we're in our 30 is some episode. And the following is getting bigger and bigger every single week. So thank you for sharing and liking and posting and reviewing. I really appreciate it. Keep doing it if my message lands with you. I have a vision of getting the podcast out to millions of women, and the podcast will be, featured really in the realm of this menopause and midlife. So we got a couple different names in mind. And so stay tuned. I'm really excited about the new name change, but it will still be the message of having real conversations about aging as a woman, okay, in this menopausal season. So there'll be conversations around perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause, and just everything in that stage that we as women go through, right? And I want to bring that conversation to the world. I want to make sure that women feel heard, that there's a voice for us, that we are important, that there are solutions and experts out there that can offer their expertise in helping us with these different problems that we experience when we go through these transitions, and help women not feel so lost. I'm in a lot of groups on Facebook, and I can't tell you that every day my heart breaks because so many women are suffering in midlife. And, they go to their medical doctor, and their medical doctor's like, here, try these hormone therapies. And, and then, something else happens. And I just read a couple this morning, and they were just like, my doctor just took me off of all of my hormone therapies because my blood pressure is high, and now I feel like hell. And now I don't know what to do. And so what I will promise you in my mission moving forward is that I will continue to empower women in their menopausal journey. We will continue, Melissa and I, to be building awesome content and have a resources section on my website so that it will provide you our favorite books, our favorite products with hopefully lots of different types of discount codes that you guys can get access to. So we're actually just building that out right now. We also want to give you access to our favorite people of health professionals that you will have access to. And we're building that list out right now, which is really exciting, and giving you options, because of course different practitioners that are in private sector have different price points, but we're trying to give you lots of options and choices so that we will have a resource page for you as well. And one thing that we're building out, which I'm so excited, is we've partnered up with Andrea Donsky, who is a menopause researcher and menopause expert. You can find her on TikTok. I love her and adore her. Her and her partner, Randy, Melissa, and myself are working towards an in-person menopause summit. It's called The Power of Menopause, and it will be, if you want to write this in your calendar, if you are in the Toronto area or want to fly in for it, it's going to be in Markham at the Hilton Hotel, and we're pretty excited. The date is October 21st, 2023, right? Really excited about that. And we are going to have only 200 tickets available. And we know we're going to sell out, and this, I think, will be an annual event, and it might even turn into like a weekend event. So we're going to get the first one under our belt and then, strategize for the next year. And then more and more things will be coming down the pipeline for our women. One of the things that Melissa and I are passionate about is around mindset and trauma work. And gathering as a sisterhood. So we are going to commit to bringing you retreats and future retreats. We are looking right now in locking and loading a date in Mexico. So for those that actually want a 1-week vacation next year and you want to be around midlife women that are deciding that this will be our best chapter, and we want to kick some ass together, and we want to work on our trauma together, and we want to shine brighter. We want to bring you a beautiful, beautiful retreat in Mexico. And we are also looking at locations here in Ontario as well. And if you have any other locations around the world that you would love us to come to, we would be open to having that conversation with you, absolutely. So lots in the hopper. I wanted this to be the last Gorgeous Gray podcast under that name, but the beginning of a new chapter for Nicole Maureen Scott. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for hearing my heart. Thank you for hearing my vulnerable description of my weekend and what I got from it. And I definitely could see myself experimenting with that a little bit more. But I do absolutely love the breath work, and that is something I'm looking into, to be a breath coach and facilitator, because the breath work without the medicine is so incredible and so strong in regards to releasing any emotional stuff that we've got lodged in our cells or DNA, wherever we keep those emotions. So thank you again. I'm celebrating all of you, and thank you again for coming along on this amazing journey with me. And I feel like I'm just getting started, and I'm hoping that I will be back in the next couple weeks with a new name, a fresh new episode, so that you can hear from Melissa as well, that we're doing this next chapter together, with more content, more resources, and more help for our amazing menopause followers. Gray or not gray, it does not matter. Thanks, everyone. I want to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If this message landed for you, make sure to leave a review and tag me, Nicole Scott, at Gorgeous Gray Movement, and make sure to share with your friends. You can head over to my free Facebook community, Gorgeous Gray Movement, or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more inspiring interviews. If you are still struggling and need additional support, you can take a look at my website, nicolescott.ca, and learn more about my new Menopause Reset program that I'm so excited for. Until next time, ladies, be well and own your sparkle.